Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Rooted in Niyyah. Today I'm going to tell you a story. The story is about a man who carried everyone's water. Now, in a village somewhere in the desert, there lived a man. His name was Albani. Now, Albani was famous for one thing. He never knew how to say no. So if you ever asked him to do something, Albani was the person everyone in the village knew that he's the person who'd get it done. Now, this went on for several years, and every time somebody praised Albani, Albani got his heart fluttering a little bit. You know the feeling I'm talking about. So Albani did it, and over time it stopped being for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and started being so that the people might say Albani is a good person, Albani is a kind soul, he's a generous soul, and the praise he got every time he did something good. Now this went on for years, such that his family were living in deplorable situations, like they wouldn't even have enough food to eat, or the kids wouldn't be going to school because their school fees are not paid. You know, he kept, instead of working on his family, he used that energy on everyone else. And everyone else were not helping Albani. So one day, a scholar came to that village, and it was a hot day, so he took a rest under a tree. And he observed, like most scholars do, he observed Albani running up and down and up and down, and he wondered, why is this person running? So he called Albani and told Albani, why are you running left and right and up and down? You seem to have a lot to do. So Albani said, I'm helping them. And every time somebody wanted something done, Albani would do it. Just then, as Albani was explaining to the scholar why he had to move from one farm to another, from one place to another, a camel sat next to them. So the scholar looked at Albani and then looked at the camel and asked the Albani, do you see that camel? Then Albani said, yes, it's a magnificent animal. It must be a pride to one of its owners. So the scholar said, imagine if those men seated there, each of those 10 men carrying the load they're carrying, placed on top of the camel. Albani said, I don't think the camel would survive. It would collapse, leave alone stand up with that load, because the load is heavier than what he could carry. Just as Albani finished that sentence, the scholar said, and you expect your heart to carry the expectation of everyone in this village. There's a difference between helping for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and helping so that the people might say so and so is a good person. Learning the difference is very important. So as we move on in our lives, always remember to seek the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as opposed to the pleasure of human beings. So the next day, Albani was asked to carry water for someone, and he said, no, I can't. Not because he's being mean, but because he finally realized if his intentions were not for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it wasn't worth helping in the first place. So with this story, I do hope you realize there's a very big difference between pleasing people and pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one is your pick? Shukran. Until next week, to another episode of Rooted in Niyyah. I'm your host, Zainab.